everybody in here who I would expect. So we're just gonna go ahead and get started right away. We will take questions right off the bat. Tom, you can start, and anyone else who has questions, just use the raise hand and we'll go around the room.
Okay, sounds good. Can you hear me, Jordyn?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just the clutch performance you got on Sunday at Missouri. I mean, it's when you have that small of a lead going in the final rotation, obviously the home team on floor, you don't always win those, and you guys pulled that off. What can you take from that moment as you go forward the rest of the year?
Yeah. Well, one thing that our team reflected on was the fact that they went into that last rotation. They didn't really have a clue what the scores were. They weren't really paying attention to them. And that really helped them just go to beam and honestly do what we see them do in training every day. And we've been pushing them really hard on every event, but beam especially, just with some mental challenges over the last few weeks. And I think that with all of that work under their belt, they were able to just go into that last rotation and relax and be themselves and just hit one routine after another. But they're really figuring out their sweet spot of, especially going into the last event, whether it's floor, whether it's beam, doesn't matter. They just go out and be themselves, and they do their best gymnastics when they're relaxed and having fun and just trusting all their preparation, which they've done a lot of. So we're taking that from Sunday's meet, and it obviously feels really good to get another good SEC win, especially against a great team like Mizzou.
You know, I think this might be the first time in school history that all your NQS qualifying scores are 197 and higher. It just speaks to something that you're doing. Can you maybe say, how that feels that you've done that?
Yeah, well, it feels really good. It really feels like things are obviously headed in a great direction for this program. We've been working really hard. I mean, not just this year, but every single year to continue building and implementing a culture that allows us to get where we are now and continue on from here. So the biggest piece of that is just something I've really recognized, especially with the team this year, is the next level for them has been the belief in themselves and being able to go into any arena, no matter the opponent, and believe that they can not only compete well, but they can win a meet. And so that belief is growing the more they have successful performances like they did on Sunday. And it's really exciting because I think that belief is going to continue to grow and translate from year to year with this program. So it's been awesome to see that hard work pay off.
The last thing I have is these Walton meets are really big for you. And what went into getting OU here, and what kind of crowd? What are you expecting on Sunday?
Well, we're expecting a really good crowd. We hope people show up. I know it's out of our normal Friday night, but I think that's actually great. It's a great time on Sunday for people to come out and cheer for our team. We've been undefeated at home this year, so we're just excited for another opportunity to be in front of our fans. Having #1 Oklahoma here is obviously just an incredible opportunity. They're such a fantastic team and program, and I have so much respect for their coaching staff and their athletes. So we think it's going to be a great competition. It's going to be one that you probably won't want to miss. So we're excited about that. It's even more exciting knowing they're going to be entering our conference next year, and we're going to have this showdown pretty much every season. So yeah, we hope everybody comes out and supports our team.
Courtney, go ahead.
Yeah, Jordyn, just a couple of questions for me. You talk about that belief and believing in themselves, and you saw that. I saw a video posted, and I can't remember who it was saying it, maybe Jensen or someone else, but they were kind of like hyping up the team, saying, "Look, we can do this in somebody else's house. Now we get to come home and do it in our house," and go. It was really kind of inspiring. Is that kind of what you love to see from these girls, and that is the belief you've been instilling all year long?
I love to see it. And I mentioned that exact video in our first practice back. I said, Jensen, I loved what you said to the team. And first of all, the coaches weren't around when that was happening. And what incredible leadership we have, not just in Jensen, but in multiple athletes. And, for them to recognize those things and continue to verbally express that belief to each other and within that team environment. I just love it. It's so fun to see, athletes are really just coming into their potential and growing, but also recognizing, even she said in the video, we hit up another program record on the road and we can still do even better. I mean, we left a lot on the table, especially on the first two events. We could be even better on bars and vault, especially. So they recognize that, and that has allowed them to come back in the gym every week and not be complacent and be fired up to work on the details and to figure out how to continue to get better, even though we continue to break those program records as a team.
And I know Tom kind of touched on it a little bit, but #1 Oklahoma, I mean, it's a great meet for you guys. Obviously, the fans are very excited about it. You're expecting big crowds, and I'm pretty sure everyone is for this meet. How do you kind of get the girls ready for it? What are practices like this week? I mean, how do you get them in that mindset of like, we know we're going up against the #1 team, but we're ranked as well. We're a great squad too.
Yeah. Well, I'll be completely honest that week to week, the plan and the intention doesn't change depending on the opponent. That's just, frankly, it's not how our sport works. We don't change what we're doing just because #1 Oklahoma is coming to town. Our goal every week is to be the very best team that we can be and almost beat ourselves. And if we happen to win the meet because of that, that's fantastic. That's like a cherry on top. And so we really see, especially these last two meets, really three, including our conference championship, are continued opportunities to improve our NQS, to get that seeding set for regionals. We're sitting in a really good spot at 12 right now, but obviously 10, 11 would be fantastic. At this point, you really have to look at decimal points and figure out what scores we need to drop. So at this point, we're just trying to beat ourselves and continue to get better and have even more confidence with putting 4 events together every weekend.
And you touched on it just a little bit that you can do better. What do you want to see your team improve on going in for this meet?
Yeah, I think the main takeaways from the last meet, vault landings. I was watching our 4-minute touch before they competed, and I think like 3 or 4 of them stuck their vault in the touch, but then had some over rotation in the competition, which it's fair because they have more adrenaline. It means a little bit more in the moment. So what I want to see is just like them calming down just a little bit more in the competition, so we can not only do big, beautiful vaults, but dial in those landing deductions as well. And obviously bars, we had a couple athletes out sick last week, so a lot of changes in our lineup. People may not have noticed because we still put up a pretty good performance, which I think is fantastic. It says a lot about our depth. So really every week I feel like I say the same thing. It's hitting handstands and sticking dismounts, and those are what give us those tenths back in our bar score. So that's our goal this week, going in our bud meet.
Is your lineup changing now that you mentioned that? Is it changing at all for this week, or do you have any changes there?
TBD. I mean, we're still a few days away. Every week, it's what I love about our team is they're competitive even within the week of practice, because no lineup spot is ever guaranteed. Obviously, competition experience makes a big difference and will help strengthen their cause for a lineup spot. But really, we like to see how they practice and how consistent they are. Where's their mindset going into the meet? So we will have the opportunity to practice in Bud Walton on the day before the meet on Saturday. So we'll definitely take some of these practices and routines and reps into account when we're choosing the lineups.
Thanks, Jordyn. That's all I have. I'll turn it over to anybody else.
Any
I'll
more
jump
questions okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So Jordyn, we talked with Maddie recently, and we were talking about how she ended up at Arkansas, and she said that she was the one who actually reached out to you, like made the phone call first to talk to you. Can you just explain that a little bit and how that phone call went?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I remember because it was in the middle of quarantine in 2020. And Maddie, we had known Maddie because she came to our summer camp literally a month after we took over the program, and she stood out at summer camp. She was an incredible athlete. Just the thing that stood out about her was her work ethic. It was obvious. She was a grinder and she was going to come in and work hard. But she ended up actually committing to Rutgers on a full scholarship. And a few months, I guess it was probably like 6 to 8 months later, when quarantine was happening, she reached out to us and just said, "Hey, are there any spots in your team available?" And I'm so glad she did. Obviously, I remember chatting with her and her parents over Zoom, and just getting to know her and kind of understanding her mindset and her family. And I remember specifically her parents looked at us and said, "One thing you will never have to get on Maddie about is her work ethic. She works her butt off, and she always will. And that has continued to stay true about her. And every year she just impresses me more and more, not only with her work ethic, but all the other things she does outside of the gym. And then, you know, the cherry on top is watching her compete and continue to just be a huge player for this program.
I was about to say, yeah, she went from one event to now she's in 3. Can you tell me about her development and how you've seen her grow over the years?
Yeah. Well, it's been, I guess, multi-layered for Maddie. I think she's always been so talented on bars and floor. Those have kind of been her things. Floor came very natural to her from the very beginning, and she's always been a great performer. So that was something that right when she got on campus, you know, she was in that floor lineup and just continued to get a little bit better. I mean, she would start out getting 9.825, 9.85, 9.875, and all of a sudden this year it's like her normal is 9.925, because she's just so detail oriented and works really hard on all those little half temps to improve from week to week, which I love about her. And then obviously bars, she stepped into the bar lineup last year, got some really good competitive experience, but has just leveled up this year. She has gained a lot of confidence. And I think that's what's allowing her to kind of blossom as an athlete, is she not only has the skills and the talent, but she's getting that competitive confidence, which matters. And then beam, like she's always been gorgeous on beam, but we never had like the right routine construction for her. So we would get this great routine going, and then she didn't have a dismount that worked for her. And so we spent a couple of years just trying various routines, different skills. Finally we found like the perfect construction for her, and she learned a new dismount. And since then it's just been, she's been unstoppable on that event. So one of the most steady girls in practice, like she rarely misses a routine, and just a great role model for all the young ones on the team. And gosh, her development, not just gymnastically, but also mentally, has been incredible as well, because she has grown up a ton and has really developed an athlete maturity about her.
All right. Thank you, Jordyn.
Yeah, of course.
Anyone else have questions for Coach Wieber? All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here. If you will be at Bud, we will see you on Sunday. Otherwise, we hope to see you at Bud again next week against Nebraska.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.